What causes listener fatigue? This good question comes to us from Chipogi in Lexington, Kentucky. And Chai writes, "Hello, Paul. What causes listeners fatigue?" Listening to me talk, maybe? And what can you do to prevent it? The reason I ask is before I could listen to my system for hours and hours. But now I'm lucky if I get 30 minutes before fatigue sets in. Thanks, and more power to PS. Well, thank you. So the first question I would ask you is, what changed? Something changed in your system, because if you could listen for hours on end and then suddenly you can't, something's changed. The music you listen to, the equipment that you play it on, something has changed, your setup or whatever. Because generally speaking, what causes listener fatigue, other than the obvious, which is too loud or too noisy of an environment, our ears get fatigued with high frequencies. Our ears get fatigued with bright, harsh, grating sounds. Our ears get fatigued when it's too transistory sounding, when it's not sweet and open and lovely. Now you can play these speakers and this system really loud and never get ear fatigue, ever. We have some of the world's best electronics. We have some of the world's best speakers. And when you play this system, you don't get fatigue. But I've certainly been on tons of other systems where, like, whoa, I mean, I couldn't handle it for more than a few minutes. I, for many years had Electrostats. Now, Electrostats are these window-like speakers, and they can be very fatiguing on the wrong electronics. So there you have to really pay attention to your electronics. Tube electronics generally is a lot sweeter and less fatiguing and harsh. But if you have, I don't want to say distortion, because that's such a broad term, and sometimes distortion, like second order harmonic distortion, can be a good thing, something very pleasing to the ears with added harmonics and overtones that are quite pleasant if they're done right. But too much feedback in a circuit, something that's being overdriven, something that is causing this hard, bright sound that I hear in all kinds of electronics. I mean, the typical stuff that you go down and buy is going to cause you some fatigue. If you go down and buy a Sony, I'm picking on Sony, Yamaha, Denon, Marantz, I don't care. Your typical receiver that you go down to Best Buy and you pick up for $300 or whatever, you crank a decent volume level on a reasonable pair of speakers and put on a CD of say, some rock music, you'll likely have listener fatigue at listening levels rather quickly. 20, 30 minutes, just like Chai is having. Change the electronics, even something like our little Sprout or a Stellar or a number of other companies that manufacture electronics, that make sweet sounding electronics, you won't have any fatigue at all. So it's likely something to do with your electronics if your speakers haven't changed. I mean, look, there are speakers that are, like, ew. So I'm not just saying you can just, get away with it, but you just have to have decent stuff. I mean, we saw a little package of ELACs. I think the whole thing, the Sprout and the ELAC speakers, are $800. And it's a great sounding system. You can crank that sucker up and you won't have listener fatigue. So it's not that you have to spend a lot of money. Just got to get the right stuff. So hope that helps. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.